It's election season again, and you know what that means. We're going to interview a bunch of candidates here at APN to help you decide who to vote for. First up, we've got two candidates for ACC Commission in District 1. Handyman Terry Johnson is challenging incumbent Commissioner Patrick Davenport. Now let's meet the candidates, starting with Terry Johnson. Thanks for coming on my show, Terry.
Thank you very much for you having me here.
Yeah, so let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. So what do you do, and how long have you lived in Athens?
Well, I've been back and forth from Athens since I was 6 years old. My mother's family is actually from Athens. About 5 or 6 generations. Originally, my family is out of Wilkes County. I moved back to Athens myself in '77 and been here working within the community and also as well as around and outside of Athens. Been in construction, property management, law enforcement, recreational. I was a lifeguard for several years when I was young. Let's see, what else?
And you worked at the sheriff's office, is that
yes,
right?
Yes, yeah, 20 years.
20 years at the sheriff's office,
so
okay.
Like I said, I've been working with the community for a long time. Also, Boys and Girls Club, I do a lot of volunteer work with them.
So what did you do at the sheriff's office?
Oh, deputy.
Deputy,
yeah.
Okay.
My last about 6 years, I did more mental health transports than anything else. But booking, serving warrants, administration parts. I always wore many hats. Computer savvy.
And that was when Ira Edwards was the sheriff?
Before Ira Edwards.
Oh, it was before.
I actually, I started with Sheriff Massey. Oh. So from Sheriff Massey to Ira Edwards, and I left while Ira Edwards was still in office. My first wife passed away. So I had 2 kids to raise, and I wasn't willing to give them up to the street. So I took the initiative and opened up a restaurant and provided for us that way. So then turned around and went into partnership with La Jalisco Supermarket. So I ran that for 10 years. Started driving trucks.
Wow, you've done a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, I'm not limited. If I want to do something or want to know something, I find out about it, and I'll go in depth to find out about anything that I need understanding on.
Okay, and what do you do now, did you say?
Right now, home improvements.
Okay, and you own a business?
Yes, Aurora Property Solutions. I've been doing that since, seems like about 16 years now, I believe.
Okay.
What else? Oh yeah, I'm also the auxiliary president of Post 3910 VFW.
And why do you want to be an ACC commissioner?
Well, I've been serving this community for over 40 years. I think I would be a good fit because being one that wears many hats, you need to have knowledge on all things. Working in the housing industry for years, and that's not only building, but repairing. I worked with a company that owned Athens Garden and Clarke Gardens. Then I went to work for another company, North Grove Apartments. And there I became a maintenance supervisor. So I went from 1 property to 30. So it's something that if I could help anybody in the community, I've always been willing to do.
Now let's go to incumbent Commissioner Patrick Davenport. Thanks for coming to my show, Patrick.
Thank you.
So for people who may not know you, in addition to being a commissioner, you help run a green cleaning co-op owned by the workers. Mm-hmm. How's business?
So business has been struggling lately. We have a lot of new people coming in from the Atlanta market who are competing with us.
Oh, like other businesses?
Other businesses, green cleaning business, not necessarily co-ops. But we celebrated our 10th year last year. We have some wonderful workers. But I think, just part of the market challenges that, we just need to be more decisive on some of the decisions that we make. More definitive. What's the right word? Yeah, just make sure we're making sound decisions before we enact new policies instead of.
And that happens through a democratic process,
through
right?
a vote.
Okay, cool. And so you're also running for a third term on the ACC Commission.
God bless it.
So I want to quickly run over your accomplishments of you and the whole body over the past 7 to 8 years, because there are a lot of things. So you passed the 100% clean and renewable energy resolution and put $16 million towards clean energy. You helped Athens through the COVID crisis. You adopted an inclusionary zoning policy that was used recently to get $7.8 million into the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. You recognized the Firefighters Union. You adopted a plan to reduce homelessness and another plan for workforce development. And you fought hard for a trash utility franchising plan that I thought was a fiscally responsible way to save your constituents money and to cut down on service theft. At the same time, your colleagues rejected it, but I still feel like it was an accomplishment just because, I thought it was the right thing to do, and you fought really hard for it.
I did. A lot of great things happened over the course of my 8 years as a commissioner, but I really want to thank, also contribute that thanks to my colleagues who helped me, where we worked together and we had a vision and we got things accomplished.
Yeah. So, which is the thing that you're most proud of?
So this is going to be, you didn't mention it, but I worked on it by myself. And I remember mentioning this at the my last time I ran was for any vendor to host any event downtown using government space, they must use recyclable or reusable materials. I got tired of seeing all the trash from these big events going into our landfill, so I was like, and I worked with Suki, who really championed the idea, and Suki's our solid waste director, and our county attorney, Christine Hines. We crafted a policy, and that's still in place today, where if you go downtown, they better be using recyclable material, and that reduces the cost for the taxpayers because it's less waste that goes into our landfill. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But can I brag on that for just a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So usually when we enact policy, it has to go through two committees. That would be GOC or LRC. GOC and LRC can be slow in enacting policy. So I was like, let me just work on this on my own. So I worked behind the scenes and I just submitted it to Kelly. And Kelly was like, hey, this is worthy. I'm going on the agenda. And it got on the agenda. And I was like, holy crap. And we voted on it. And some of my colleagues were very impressed that a third year newly elected commissioner can do something like that. But that's me patting myself on the back. But yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, awesome. So there have also been a couple things that you've done that have been a little controversial over the years. For example, you have a principled objection to the use of eminent domain, which is when the county forces people to sell their land. And that came up most prominently when you opposed connecting the Firefly Trail to Winterville along the route that they had planned, which made some fans of the trail pretty upset with you. They worry that it'll delay construction. So I was wondering what the current status of the trail was, and do you think eminent domain would still be needed at this point?
Yes, eminent domain will still be needed because eminent domain has to go through the courts. It's not just like, oh yeah, we're going to eminent domain and we can just take people's property. It has to go through the court system, and so that's where we are right now. Some of the families are fighting, and unfortunately, that's going to take some process. So working through those families and their concerns, and whenever a judge, be municipal court, I believe, a municipal court judge hears each one of those cases, and then when it comes to eminent domain, the county is going to be in favor. Then we'll proceed with, fortunately, demolishing. I'm just a strong advocate for compromise. You know, even if it's just two families who are upset or who have some concerns, I'm a big privacy, property rights type person that like we could at least come together as a community to find an alternate solution. And maybe it's my ignorance or my pride or arrogance. I still think option C would probably be done by now, and that's the most viable compromise for the trail. But it looks like, I can't speak for the residents, but it looks like that eminent domain the trail will eventually go through the route that was proposed.
Okay.
So
do you think there's any way that they might come to an agreement to sell at a certain price, or is that?
I just speaking with them, they're fighting.
Okay, they're still fighting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely always better when we can work things out without having to go through the court system, for sure. So you also had a strong objection to building a new fire station on Old Lexington Road, as did a number of nearby residents. So you voted against building that station, which definitely, I think, made some of your constituents happy, but it did go against the advice of the fire chief. Going forward, I'm curious about how you'll balance the desires of your constituents on the one hand against expert advice from staff on the other hand, when those things are opposed.
That's a good question, and thank you for the opportunity to respond to that. So being an elected official is not as easy as a lot of people think. There are some things that we were privy to that were not disclosed publicly because it deals with property and stuff like that. So moving forward, it's on a case-by-case basis because there are some other projects that I approved that were eminent domain, like a gas station, the roundabout that off of Hawthorne. So when it came to the fire station, there was just a lot of people, a lot of residents, like entire neighborhood, but at least 80% of the neighborhoods, because there are multiple, and residents who were concerned. And I believed in what they were concerned about. So I could be authoritarian and saying, well, this is what the government wants, this is what we should do. Or I can say, okay, let me be a leader and respect the wishes of the constituents who have concerns and fight for them. And I just chose that route. So.
Yeah, I mean, you were definitely fighting for him. The police chief, or not the fire chief, had to come down to City Hall during the voting meeting to sort of answer questions and try to get this thing passed.
Yeah. I think in the end, the residents felt that it was a losing cause, and I do want to thank Carol for looking out for the aesthetics of the building, the potential firehouse that's going to be put there, and that it's going to be shaded, and at least shows that this body or that body cared about that we're going to be disturbing some of the peace of those residents. So, I mean, that's a somewhat healthy compromise to have, but I just knew there was a much better spot. But I'm not going to argue about that red circle, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So, there was a compromise there at the end to try to make it a little more palatable to people.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm hearing is that you're still going to fight for your constituents going forward.
I will always fight for my constituents if I share their same values. Yeah. There have been some things that I'm like,
Back to Johnson. Do you have any experience with local government? Have you ever been involved in the local government before? Like on any of those boards, authorities, or commissions?
Oh, I mean, I've helped other people when they were doing stuff, but never directly. I've always been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And just learning and looking. But the reason why
you've helped on campaigns before?
Yes.
Okay.
But most reasons why I've always done that because people know I'm going to whatever the job takes, I will get it done.
So you're doing lots of like volunteering kinds of work.
Yeah, I do a whole lot of volunteer work. Matter of fact, a lot of my customers are usually a lot older, and the prices I give them, I don't make money on it all the time. Just if I can pay for the supplies, that's what I do. Because I always figure God will bless me, and He always has.
So if elected, what would be your top priorities in office?
Probably housing. We have a housing problem. The prices right now are so high and astronomical. People cannot afford to stay where they're at. Matter of fact, I know of somebody we've been trying to help in different ways, because she went from like $1,100 a month to $1,500. And now she just told me the other day that now they're going up for another $100. So that's $1,600 a month that she's got to pay out. She's got 2 kids and a grandmother staying with her, and she's behind. And it shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to struggle to stay where you work, and that's one of the biggest things I see. I think there's a lot of things that we could do different. A lot of people talk about the tiny houses. Well, that's fine for if you have one person staying with you. But what if you got 2 or 3 kids? That's not going to help. I think
tiny house isn't going to work.
No,
in that case.
I think there ought to be limitations on how rental property is run. And I hate to say that, because I know we're in a position where capital gains is the main part, but when it's hurting somebody else, it's not a very good thing. We want to be able to help out people, and a lot of people don't look at it. I got mine, you get yours, and that's not always the way it is. Everybody can't get in the same place at the same time because they're not afforded that lifestyle beforehand. Education's one of the biggest things. Another thing that without a proper education, you can't deal with some of the things that come through in your life. And then that comes to the point where if you can't afford to get in UGA, that means you can't afford to stay here in Athens right now, because it's not really for the community anymore. I would hate to say that, but it's the truth. You shouldn't have to live below the poverty rate in order to live somewhere. And although UGA is one of the largest employers in Athens, they still don't pay the wages that they should. And if I got to work 3 part-time jobs to live and still don't have enough money, it's not good. Being older and remembering when one job could support a family, it's not like that anymore.
So some people say that, we just need to allow more housing and more types of housing, and that'll like increase the supply, and that hopefully that'll bring down costs. And other people say that no, what we really need to be doing is subsidizing affordable housing, like building more public housing, stuff like that. Where are you on that question?
Well, all right, but you have to start off. Subsidizing housing is a great idea, but it should have a limitation on it. Or it should also come along with the education in order to grow from that subsidized housing. I know people that have stayed in housing projects for years. Some came out, some didn't. And that wasn't always because they were able to. Some just couldn't afford to. I mean, life deals hardships, and we have to learn how to deal with those hardships in order to grow. When you have them one behind another, it's it's very difficult.
So in this election, you're running against incumbent Commissioner Patrick Davenport. Why don't you rate him as a commissioner for me? And has Davenport ever done anything that you've disagreed with while in office?
Well, I can't say he did, but I can't say he did.
Okay, well, so if he hasn't done anything that you've disagreed with, why are you running against him?
Well, there's a lot of things that he should vote on, and he either wasn't there, or he didn't, or he said no.
Which things?
Let's see. I had to go back and look because I didn't. I wasn't trying to rate him. I think the people are ready for a change or to make a difference. Somebody that's willing to get out there and put the boots on the ground, as they say. And that's what I think is missing more than anything else, is being able to communicate with others and have a better feeling about themselves. If you can push people up and just be a wind up under somebody's wings, they'll do better. And I think that's what we're missing more than anything else. And like I said, Patrick, I've been knowing Patrick for years. And like I said, I don't downgrade anybody. But if there's more you can do, it should be.
Back to Davenport. If reelected, what are your top priorities for your next term?
Okay, so we're getting a lot of complaints about clear cutting when it comes to the demolition, and part of that requires education. In that, we do keep, when developers come in, we do keep like 30 to 40% of the tree canopy, and that we do have a planning department with the arborists who work with the developer to say, well, you got to build an X amount percentage of new trees. But I get the perspective from residents who are concerned about when when developers do projects, that all the trees get cut down, and how can we preserve some of those legacy forests? So I've asked the mayor to send that to committee. I still want to preserve the east side. I'm a big advocate for this. I don't want the east side to look like Elks Bridge, or we just want to keep it quiet over there. And just to work better with our community partners like University of Georgia, and just continue with some of the good work that we're collaborating on.
Yeah, what is the relationship like now between the town and gown? Because it was getting a little iffy there for a while.
From my perspective, I would say it's gotten a little bit better. It's a little bit better, but we just little baby steps. You gotta, hopefully we can take that big jump, and just bringing University of Georgia to the table more often and having more collaborative discussion when it comes to capital projects, I think are easy ways for us to build those better relationships. Another relationship that that I hope we do improve, which is very odd to me, is with the Clarke County School District. So we communicate, but it just, sometimes I watch their work sessions and their voting session. There's some projects that I think we should work together on that, and share some funds or share some ideas, but just continue those relationships and building on them.
So why should voters choose you on May 19th?
That's up to the voters to decide. Experience, leadership. I do really care about the east side of Athens. I do care about my community. Born and raised here. I have a great relationship with the colleagues that I have now, with staff. Knowledgeable. When I first started, I wasn't knowledgeable, but now I'm getting there, and hopefully I've done a really good job that my neighbors and friends can continue the legacy and allow me to do one more term.
All right, well, thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you.
Now to Johnson to answer the final question. Why should voters choose you?
Why should voters choose me? Voters should choose me because I'm not limited to one space. I wear a lot of hats. I'm sympathetic to people. I know how building should be done. I read contracts well. My years of law enforcement makes me safe. Yeah, I don't veer off. I'm usually straightforward and honest, and a lot of people tell me that's my problem. You're too honest, and I'm like, well, I can't help it. That's the way I am. I'm here to do for the community as I have been for years. Just, I was always quiet about it. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm here for the community, not for myself.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on my show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. You have a good day.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for listening. Next up, I'll interview the District 3 candidates. See you then.